Hey everyone, welcome back to day 7 of learning. So, for the past 7 days, what I've been doing is that I've been talking about the different books that have really helped me change my life. So, personal development books, books on relationships, books on shame. And today's book is all about travel. And as you might or might not know, travel is one of my absolutely major passions besides business, besides being an entrepreneur right now. I am extremely interested in travel. There's other things that I'm interested in as well. And so obviously all of us are multifaceted beings. And I wanted to share this part of my passion with you. And the way that it really began is the fact that my parents moved us around a lot when we were young for work. My dad was an engineer with an Italian contracting company, and we moved around from place to place in the Middle East. And all of that movement, I think, could have gone either way. I could have either started hating to travel and movement, or I could have started loving travel and the newness of things and the newness of cultures and places and people. And thankfully, I fell in the secondary character. I think all of us did. My brother and sister also loved to travel. And so what happened was that after all of that traveling, we started kind of settled down in Toronto 12, 15 years ago, I believe. And I realized that although I love Toronto to death, it's one of the best cities in the world to live in, it has been labeled that, I realized that I do want to explore the rest of the world. This beautiful world was beckoning to me, and I wanted to see it. I wanted to meet all these amazing people. I wanted to eat all of these delicious foods, and I wanted to explore it, not only because physical travel helps you explore the physical world, but in my opinion, physical travel helps you explore your inner world. The more you travel, the more you go out there, you're able to see who you truly are. Because when there are no routines, when there is nothing that is, there that is familiar, then all of your inner thoughts and feelings and all of your insecurities and all of that stuff comes out in the open because you're not hidden from it anymore. You can't numb yourself from it anymore. What happens in our day-to-day life when we're doing our 9 to 5 and when we have a sort of routine is that we're able to hide from ourselves easier. When we feel uncomfortable, we can call a friend, or we can go meet up with a friend, or we can go to a familiar coffee shop, or we can go grab a drink with a friend. Whatever it might be, there's a lot of different ways you do it. But when you're traveling, it's extremely hard to do that. There is nothing that is familiar. Everything is new, everything is different. How are you supposed to do that? And I first discovered this aspect about travel from this book called Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. It's a really, really tiny, skinny little book. It was absolutely life-changing. And I am an absolute fan of Rolf Potts. He's amazing, the way he writes, the way he thinks about things. He's one of my favorite people in the world. Even though I don't know him, I've never met him. But through his books, I realized what a great soul he is. And his book I read when I was 23 or 24. After I read Timothy Ferriss's book and 4 Hour Workweek, he recommends Rolf Potts' book, which is what shows you how magnificent this book is. And the fact that it's skinny and tiny shouldn't kind of deter you. Obviously, it's actually a good thing. He's compacted a lot of travel wisdom into those pages. And one of the first things that I learned from his book was that you don't need to be a millionaire in order to travel. Until that point, I had this misconception that if I wanted to go travel for a long time, that I had to become a millionaire before I could do it. And he kind of busted that myth for me instantaneously in the first few pages. So that all of a sudden I realized that the world is so huge and there's so many places that have a lower standard of living than Canada. And with my Canadian dollars, I could go travel in these places for months at a time and only have to save a few $1,000s. And that is how my first journey began. I went to Southeast Asia because it's one of the cheapest places in the world. I saved up 10 grand and I left and I traveled for 10 months. And it was possible because I was able to save up the money and use my dollars and translate it into rupees or baht or all of those different currencies. And the translation was so amazing for me, the exchange rate, that I was able to travel for a long period of time. I was also lucky that I am originally from India and I have a lot of family there, and they were kind enough to let me stay with them. I'm so grateful for that. And I was able to meet a lot of my family that I'd never met before. I was able to travel in my own country, India, that I'd never been able to travel before on my own. And even my parents told me that, they would be afraid to go travel in India on their own. And I was able to do it on my own, and I proved to them in some way, I believe, how strong I truly am and how courageous I am. I proved it to myself even more so that I can do this. If I can travel in India on my own as a single female traveler, being harassed almost every single day and dealing with it properly, then I can do it anywhere. I can travel anywhere. I have nothing to fear. If I could travel in a way that no one else is able to, and so many people lauded me for it, then I can truly do anything. I think that's where I began to believe in myself even more so. And that's the reason I recommend travel to everyone who asks me, especially long-term travel. Because I think it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to even just acclimatize to the culture, acclimatize to travel, get rid of the cobwebs of your routines. And so once you get over that, that is when true inspiration begins. That's when true change begins, true transformation. Until that point, it's not really going to happen. So I truly recommend long-term travel, and I recommend it for so many different reasons. I recommend it because if you want true change in yourself, then you need to get away from these routines. Unfortunately, it's really hard to have to manifest all these changes if you're enamored in these routines day to day. And then also getting away not only from routine, but from familiarity. When everything is different in front of you, it's extremely hard to get comfortable. And when you're not comfortable, you're constantly learning about yourself. You're constantly growing. You're constantly able to figure out, what am I? Who am I? How am I going to be dealing with these difficult circumstances? And how am I going to deal with different cultures? How am I going to deal with people who are harassing me, men who harass me almost every single day in India? How do I deal with it? Am I strong enough to deal with them? And if I am, where does the strength come from? What kind of a person am I? How am I going to deal with all these poor people that are going to come asking me for money? All of these young kids who have no shoes on. How am I going to deal with all that stuff? A lot of people tell me that they wouldn't be able to travel in India because of all the poor people that they would encounter. But I learned that these poor people are nothing to be, and they don't need our pity, because they're actually happier than us in a lot of cases. And they're willing to give up what they have and share what little they have with us. And I don't feel any pity for them. I used to before I went to India. And now when I go back, I always realize that I'm lucky to have seen that other side of things. The same thing happened when I went to Bangkok and I saw all these prostitutes. And I used to feel bad for them. I mean, they are there so that they can use their bodies in order to get money. But when I spoke to a lot of them, I realized how lucky they consider themselves. They're able to get money for their families. They're able to get American dollars from all these foreigners, and they're able to live the life that a lot of people are not able to live. And so they consider themselves lucky. So there's so many different things that you will see the other perspective of. It'll make you grow in such a way that I can't even imagine. And I would not be the person I am right now. I would not be standing here in front of you, confident in myself, loving myself, and accepting myself and this world we live in if I hadn't gone through those experiences. Now, I quit my job and traveled a couple more times after that, but more than that, it's the fact that I'm a changed person because of it. And this book, Vagabonding by Rolf Potts, one of the main reasons I decided to go travel, one of the main reasons I decided to go do the long-term thing. And so I absolutely recommend that you guys read this book, Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. It's a really skinny, tiny, cheap book, but it is an absolutely life-changing book. At least it was for me. And I want to share this experience with you guys. So I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend, amazing long weekend if you are in North America. We're celebrating Civic Holiday in Canada here today on Monday. So I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, an awesome Monday, wherever you guys are. If you guys are interested, you can join my free Facebook group, The Millionaire Hippie. If not, I'll talk to you guys the next time around. I'm going to be starting a new video series based on my digital nomading journey about travel and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Bye for now.